So we've all experienced stress. You and I recognize it as a feeling you get either in your chest or your brain when you've got a 6 minute and 40-second video due by 10 p.m. tonight and it's already 8 o'clock and you've got squat written down. Others recognize stress as a feeling you get when all you really want to do is take a bite out of your computer to find out how plasticky it tastes. Even though we can all remember a point in our lives where we've been stressed out, many of us don't take the time to stop and wonder exactly what stress is. Well, stress is normally defined as a physical reaction in our body characterized by the fight or flight response. This response is a very primal aspect of our health and dates back to when we were confronted by predators as humans and either chose to fight or run away from the predator. But nowadays, we aren't usually being chased down by lions, tigers, and bears, and don't have to choose between running or fighting for our lives on a daily basis, but we still have the stress response embedded within our minds. This causes an unnecessary challenge that we face when we've got an assignment due or expectations to live up to, because even though you're not going to end up in physical harm, your mind still prepares your body as if you are. What helps stress to exist in our minds in the first place is the extra amount of the hormones and chemicals known as adrenaline, cortisol, and norepinephrine being flooded into our body by our brain. What these chemicals do is divert extra blood to muscles for increased reaction time, as well as increased strength in a fight or flight situation, but also shut down bodily functions such as digestion in order to use the blood for more demanding functions in the body at the time. There are normally two levels of stress, acute and chronic. Acute stress is obviously the better one because it keeps us going throughout the day and gives us the energy we need to complete simple tasks. However, our body isn't very good at distinguishing between normal stressors and life-threatening events, so we may hit into chronic stress in response to an everyday assignment. The effects of chronic stress can be overwhelming. Physical symptoms of chronic stress include aches and pains, diarrhea or constipation, nausea, dizziness, chest pain, rapid heartbeat, loss of sex drive, and frequent colds or flu, while slight mental illnesses such as memory problems, inability to concentrate, poor judgment, seeking only the negative, anxious or racing thoughts, and constant worrying can arise. There are many external causes of stress that we face as humans on our own, such as major life changes, work or school, relationship difficulties, financial problems, being too busy, or children and family issues. All of these can be categorized into Albrecht's four types of stress: time stress, anticipatory stress, situational stress, and encounter stress. These four types of stress, introduced by Karl Albrecht in the late 70s, are described like this: time stress, characterized by worrying about deadlines or time running out; anticipatory stress, characterized by worrying about the possibility of future events; situational stress, normally characterized by having to deal with unanticipated situations; and encounter stress, characterized by worrying about personal interactions. As a high school student, my primary stressors are mainly school and time related, both of which go hand in hand. I, like many other high school students, am stuck in a dilemma between the amount of time I have and the amount of schoolwork that is upcoming, and whether or not I can do good enough a job in good enough a time. These stressors, which fall under 3 of 4 of Albrecht's types of stress, time, anticipatory, and situational, are a huge detriment to high schoolers and other students as well, as sometimes expectations set on us by our peers, teachers, or parents can become overwhelming. We develop this amount of stress in response to our need to fulfill our goals that we simply cannot flee from. Another problem we all encounter, students and adults alike, is the snowball effect of stress. We begin to stress about problems within our lives, but even after the problem was addressed, we are stuck with the continuous negative thoughts that bothered us earlier. We become stressed about our stress, and let our anxious thoughts run rampant. You can feel depressed, agitated, overwhelmed, and lonely, as well as many other mental symptoms from snowballed stress. There are many ways to deal with stress, of course, music being one of the favorites in our society. We can entertain ourselves, discuss our problems with a friend, seek professional medical help, or do things that distract us from our incessant worry. Many times, however, people turn to drugs, alcohol, or other potentially dangerous and irresponsible acts to distract themselves, which is why you always need to keep your stress in check. Smoking is also one of the ways people our age will tend to gravitate towards in order to relieve stress, although this is not the correct direction, for smoking can just end up causing more stress and is extremely unhealthy for you. There are always other ways to relieve stress, as I mentioned before, and you never want to combat illness with more illness. Among adults in our society, the number one stressor is money, which falls under financial stressor issues. This means adults receive health problems from worrying about currency more than worrying about anything else. It is also a fact that women are more likely to commit suicide from prolonged stress exposure than men, with parenting women being among the highest of the stressed in our community. Factors that influence your tolerance to stress in the first place are emotional awareness, quality of relationships, physical activity, and diet. Having taken care of these four traits before an unexpected stressful event can prove very worthy in freeing up mental space to worry about and address calmly one problem before the other. At times, keeping a hopeful outlook can help you deal with stress. If you look for the light in stressful situations, you're more likely to persevere. You always want to maintain a sense of control over your stress as well, so give yourself a pep talk to show stress who's boss. This will give you a true sense of dominance over your own mental insecurities, for you're only combating thoughts with thoughts, making none of it false or unrealistic. Now, I've spent a lot of time going over the health risks of stress and how to avoid it, but we need to keep in mind just how beneficial stress can be at times. Acting as our number one motivator, stress can give us the edge we need to get things done, such as typical school assignments or just chores around the house. The reason we use stress to keep ourselves going is through a process of pain and then no pain. We experience the pain and agitation from stress within ourselves, and then move ourselves to complete or address whatever has been stressing us out. It's almost a combination of both fight and flight. You fight the assignment or task that is stressing you out, so you can flee from it when it's finished. As a recap, stress is a primal response activated within our bodies in a response to external or internal stimulant, one in which we either fight or flee from the stimulant. Stress is caused by the release of cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine within the brain to the muscles so blood can be pumped through and we can have increased strength or mental acuity. Stress can be helpful or incredibly detrimental to our physical and mental health. The two levels of stress are acute and chronic, where acute is the beneficial stress and chronic is the unhealthy and unnecessary stress gained from prolonged acute stress. There are four types of stress: time, anticipatory, encounter, and situational stress. If we learn to cope with and avoid stress and mentally prepare ourselves before a stressful event, we can learn to reduce stress within ourselves in the future.